through the menus. Next, we're going to get our first dabble into actual exposure. So that's where this lesson is going next. Exposure. The general concept is getting the light right. Okay? I mean, that's really what exposure is all about. And you've seen Facebook. Those really black pictures and somebody claims there's a cat in there.
Yeah.
And you go, really? And you publish that? Or that super blown out picture and it's like, oh, did you think that was art? Because that's really kind of bad. Exposure is the getting it right. Getting the balance of, not blowing out the bright areas, blowing out like just completely making them over bright, and still maintaining some detail in the shadows. That's how we see, and that's what you really are going after in a picture. So exposure is made up of a few things. One is aperture, which we already got, right? It's the big, small, or big to the hole that lets in the light. The second component is going to be shutter speed. If the hole is this big, and I go, I didn't let in very much light, but if I go, there's a lot more time for light to get through. So how fast your shutter goes also creates good exposure. So you're always balancing how big the aperture is and how fast that shutter is going. Okay? And as you make the aperture smaller, you might have to make the shutter slower. As you make the aperture bigger, you might need to make your shutter faster. Or you might be purposely making a big aperture because you got some action going on out there. And the only thing that'll capture it is a fast shutter, because a slow shutter gives all the motion blur. The trails of hands, that kind of stuff. So those are the two biggies, but now there are other things that come into play. One of them we already talked about a little bit, which is ISO. The more receptive the sensor is to light, in other words, the more sensitive, the more light's going to actually be used. But then the grainier the pictures. So now you've got three things. Fourth thing is called exposure compensation. And you use exposure comp in all of your automated modes: intelligent auto, program, aperture, and shutter. All of those are going to allow you to exposure comp, which means we let the camera do what it thinks is right, and then we kind of chimp it the picture. Chimping is when you go and check what you just took, and oh, that's a little too bright. So we want to bring it down, because this is a machine. As smart as it is, it's still a machine. Nothing beats this and these. Well, and so we look at it, we go, ooh, that's a little dark, so I'm going to bring my exposure comp up. I'm going to make it a little brighter. The camera will do the rest.